guys. It is another episode of Classic City Talks with Classic City Locks. We're your hosts. I'm Wes,
I'm Mike.
and we are really excited for this week. We've got a new segment in this video. So not the same old, same old. We've got an answer to a fan's question leading off the video tonight. So further proof that you guys should send us emails, send us questions, and get featured in the show. Mike, what do we got?
So yes, breaking news. Our first email we have from Garrett Garmo. Garrett says, "Hi, Professor Locks." Appreciate the name. Hi, Professor Locks. I know it's early in the season, but maybe next week give us a prediction for the Heisman. Do you think the USC boy runs it back?
Yeah,
That
so
Caleb Williams. So let's dive
Caleb
into this, Wes. Who do you got? What do you got on this?
Caleb Williams, to win back-to-back Heisman's has only happened once in history, according to my research, and it was Archie Griffin of Ohio
Ohio
State
State.
in 1974 and 1975. Um, I think we're of the same opinion here, Mike. I don't like the favorite. I don't think Caleb wins it again. I think he's probably there in New York, but I think the narrative is going to change, and I don't think they want the same guy to win it twice. I
Yeah.
also think that he just might not put up as good of numbers as some of these other guys we got listed. So, Mike, who's your pick for the Heisman if it's not Caleb Williams?
So I was thinking about this. I think that at the very least, our Heisman winner is going to come out of the Pac-12. I
I
think
agree.
Caleb Williams is in the mix, but right now, as of today, I'm going with Michael Penix out of Washington. I think that last season we saw he was crazy. I think he finished in fifth or sixth. And quietly, Washington's 3-0, and he's putting up crazy numbers. He's already got 1,332 yards, 12 touchdowns, only one pick. His completion rate's at 74%, and he's averaging 11.8 yards per pass.
Huh.
I mean, this Washington offense is crazy. He's got the weapons there around him to, you know, get those numbers, and he's shown it through 3 weeks. We saw flashes of it this last year, and I think that Washington's offense is better this year. So I think that he was right there on the cusp, and you bump up that offense just a little bit, which we've seen. I know it's only we're going to week 4, but like I think that's all he really needs. And I think they're a contender to make it to the playoffs. So I think he's in a perfect spot.
Yeah, I realized I agreed with you there about the Pac-12 quarterbacks, which I think is solid. And then I realized that my pick is not from the Pac-12 because I switched up. But I will mention who I was going to pick. I really like your Washington pick, though, especially given the game they just had at Michigan State.
Yeah.
A lot of people were picking, the spread there for the Spartans, and
Mhm.
wow, they just blew them out of the water. It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm a fan of Michael Penix. I think that's a solid pick. And to go against you here, I'm going to go with a lot of people's favorite, Sam Hartman,
Oh, okay.
Notre Dame. He's at plus 900 odds right now, and very similar numbers to Penix. He's got a little bit less yards, about 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns, no interceptions, but he has 2 rushing touchdowns as
Nice.
well. Um, so Notre Dame, the other thing I like about them, as well as Penix and a lot of people in the Pac-12, they play a lot of good teams.
Yeah.
USC is blowing people out, so Caleb Williams is getting the numbers, but he's also getting pulled. And
Yes.
Notre Dame, they're playing Ohio State this week. They play Clemson. They play USC. So I just think these teams, the Pac-12 and Notre Dame, are going to have to leave their quarterbacks in a little bit longer because the Pac-12 is so competitive this year. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And no, I like what you say with the schedule. I feel like you could even say like even if they leave Caleb Williams in, the caliber of play is probably not as much as what Notre Dame's having to go through. I mean, I don't know who wrote Notre Dame's schedule, but like God, God bless them. That's crazy. No, Sam Hartman. I mean, if you go in there, games that stand out to me, you got the Ohio State, USC, and the Clemson game. They win 2 out of 3 of those, and he puts up some good numbers. I mean, that's huge on your record. So I really
Yeah.
like that pick too. And the fact he hasn't thrown an interception or anything yet, he's already over 1,000 yards. I think that he's a solid pick too.
Yeah, big test for him this week when Ohio State comes into town. And I
Yeah.
was I was leaning towards, if you're not going to pick a favorite, so one of the guys in the top five, Bo Nix. I really like Bo Picks, who has not thrown an interception yet this year.
Wow.
He's a solid candidate. He's got his numbers are up there. Um, But I don't know. He was kind of my preseason guy to pick. But we'll see. We'll see. They got Colorado coming into town with another quarterback that a ton of the public is putting money on.
Yeah,
Um, Shador Sanders. I
yeah.
mean, I think this right here is just a total narrative pick. He's at plus 1,800 odds ahead of Bo Nix. He's got really good numbers, but I mean, people were expecting Colorado to win 3 games, or the four, and now all of a sudden he's like going to win the Heisman. I'm cautious. Okay,
I
I was wrong about Colorado, but
They haven't really been tested enough yet. I mean, people can argue TCU. Yeah, that was a crazy win, but I don't think they were as good as people thought. And I mean, they like literally fought tooth and nail to beat Colorado State. And Shador Sanders himself is a very good quarterback, but I don't know if they'll have the wins or they have a tough schedule ahead of them, really tough
yeah,
schedule ahead of them. So I don't think this will hold up down the stretch, but definitely an amazing player, and we'll see where that goes. Um,
yeah,
so to sum it up real quick, I'm going with Michael Penix. Wes going with Sam Hartman. I think those guys will both potentially be in New York together, and I think that it's a pretty cool Heisman race. So let's jump into these picks, Wes. What do you think?
yeah. So our first pick of the week, we are going right back to the Nittany Lions, man. We are so high on them this year. They just covered against Illinois at Illinois. Now Iowa comes into town in a ranked matchup. The spread here, we're taking Penn State minus 14 and a half. So they got to win by 15. They forced 4 interceptions last week. Luke Altmaier looked really bad. And Cade McNamara is coming into town now. Mike thinks he's a little banged up. You saw some reports about. But the major thing here, Iowa is without 2 of their top 3 running backs and their leading receiver. Their tight end is out for the year. And the whiteout game. It is the Penn State whiteout game. Mike, you were saying you wanted to buy a ticket to this one.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I know you get points for having home field advantage and stuff. I feel like if you could ever give like extra points for home field advantage, it would be this game. Do you happen to
Exactly.
know if it's a night game or not?
It is. It is.
I mean, this is like one of the most intimidating college football environments you could probably go into. Um, so yeah, with that, and I'm seeing what's his name? Drew Aller, is that his name?
Yeah, that's their quarterback.
For Penn State, yeah, that Altmaier kind of tripped me up. Drew Aller, I think that he's putting up good numbers. He's shown that he can manage the game. He's not greedy. I think he's a solid quarterback for them. Their run game is insane, and I mean, with those injuries, like you mentioned, Iowa's offense is already so lackluster. I'm kind of surprised that this line isn't around 17 right now. I could really see Penn State like blowing the lid off this game early and just running away with this thing. I mean, we've seen them. They haven't been tested like crazy yet. I mean, they covered last week against Illinois. The Illinois team has issues. I don't think that Iowa is going to be as big of a problem as people think. So I think this is a perfect spot for them.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we love the Nittany Lions. Up next, though, we have the Miami Hurricanes. They're going to Temple. And Miami's favored by 23 and a half. Wes and I are going to both take Miami here. We love this spot for them. Their quarterback, 75% completion rate. Their offense is scoring around like 46 points a game. So they are balling out. They've kind of surprised us. They beat Texas A&M week 2. And this team looks like they're a force to be reckoned with. Rutgers covered this line, I think, against Temple last week. They covered it like around 31 or something like
It's
that.
36-7.
Yeah, yeah. So right around there, covering around 29, 30 points. And Miami, I know it's not the spread, has won this matchup 13 times in a row. So we're not worried about them winning. We know they can score the ball. And outside of getting into a duel with A&M, they've kind of limited opponents' scoring. I don't see why they can't cover this.
Yeah, I love that one. Enough said. We'll move to our third mutual pick of the day, and that's UAB plus 42 and a half at Georgia. UGA, they've looked a little sluggish so far this season compared to what they were last year. We knew there was going to be a drop off, but they're the national title favorite. And struggled a little bit against South Carolina. They did hold them to no points in the second half last week, but The running back room is really, really the issue here. They're handing the ball off to some like a wide receiver half the time, like not half the time, but he's getting in there, he's
Yeah.
getting some snaps. You know that you're in trouble if that's the case. Georgia's also 0-3 against the spread, and the over/under in this one is 53 and a half. So if you're telling me that, is Georgia scoring all those points, or is it going to be like 42-10? And so that's why we like UAB to cover 42 and a half there.
Yeah, I think that UJ's kind of just playing some methodical football right now, not really trying to go for crazy blowout wins. Got the injury issue, getting guys acclimated that are a little newer to the system. And I don't think that it's Kirby's mentality to just want to go out and hang like 70 on these guys. Yeah, they're just going to get the job done, win by like 35 points around there. And yeah, I think it's a good spot.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Wes said, those are our three picks, joint picks. Who do you got for your personal pick?
Yeah, so I am going to Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm actually going to take the over in the Mississippi State South Carolina game. As of today, it is sitting at 47. So I'm going to take over 47 points in that one. Mississippi State coming off an atrocious home performance. They're going to need to prove something to their fans, to themselves, get the ball in the end zone. And South Carolina, they looked good against Georgia, a tough defense. They only put up 14, but their running back went out of the game kind of early there after a monster run or catch and run into the end zone. And this one has moved down a lot already, and I kind of like it where it's at. So I'm going to take them to go over 47. I see this finishing as like a 28-24 type game. So
Yeah, yeah. I don't really know how to read this South Carolina team because that first half they looked great. In the second half, I mean, they were atrocious. So, I needed
yeah.
the injury, but I don't know. We'll see what happens though. Definitely an interesting matchup. Like ESPN's giving Mississippi State around a 40% chance of winning on the road. So I think that's an underrated game on a very action-packed slate.
Yeah.
So for my pick, we are heading over to Ann Arbor. Rutgers is heading to Michigan. Rutgers is a 24-point dog against Michigan, and I'm taking the Scarlet Knights to cover here. Michigan, I feel like, is in a similar spot to Georgia. We know these teams are good, but they're just not blowing anyone out. I mean, Michigan has not scored over 35 points in a game yet. Rutgers is 3-0. Who would believe that? And Rutgers has not really had any close games. I mean, they played Northwestern, Temple, and Virginia Tech. Um, so not crazy competitive play, but still Michigan playing teams like Bowling Green and UNLV, and they're not like running away with it. They're not pulling a Arkansas State versus Oklahoma 73 nothing blowout. And ESPN's giving Rutgers a 15% chance to just win this game. So, you know, I think that there's no reason why Rutgers can't keep this at least somewhat close. This is a one-score game last year, I'm pretty sure. Um, so yeah, I think this line is just way too big. So I'm going to stick with the Scarlet Knights here.
Yeah, this is an interesting bounce back week for us here. So I have not picked a correct game yet. So if you guys want to go against me here, the odds are good that my pick is not going to hit. I just want to clarify Rutgers 15%. I didn't know if you said 50% there. I was like,
15. Yeah, I said
there's
50.
no way.
Not 50.
It's not a coin flip in this one, but I like both these picks, like what you said about Michigan and
Yeah.
Georgia. I mean, they're putting their backups in pretty early in the
Yeah.
second half when they're blowing people, like getting close to blowing people out. So, like both those picks.
Yeah, I think that we have a good slate. I mean, we thought the same thing last week, but I think that everyone had a rough week last week. Everything I saw, expert picks and stuff, it was just a crazy week.
Yeah,
It's always those underrated weeks where you don't expect a ton to happen. Things go nuts. But this is a great slate, even outside of our games. I think you got some crazy matchups this week. So I'm looking forward to it, Wes. I think we got some banger picks, and
yeah.
hope
What
y'all
one
hope
last thing
y'all
there with the expert picks. The bear on College
Yeah, yeah,
Game
yeah.
Day, Chris, the bear.
Yeah.
He's 6-10 on the season. So who
Yeah.
who do y'all think is better in the comments? Let us know. Me at 0-4 or him at 6-10.
Give me at 2-1, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, there you go. Well, hopefully
66%
we'll
hit
hone
rate.
this week. Uh, but thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. Remember to email us. Remember to comment. Whatever you tell us, we're gonna feature. I mean, this is for you guys. So we're having fun with it. We hope you are too.